Today I'm going to talk about generative AI, and it's not going to be pretty. And I'm going to swear a little bit because I have feelings on this issue, a bunch of them. So stay tuned. But right at the very beginning, you do get to see my other cat Daisy for the first time on this channel. So there's a little something to soften the blow of me swearing about ChatGPT again. So stay tuned. Well, hi there, Daisy. Do you want to be in today's video? You want to let everybody know that you're the really pretty one in the house, not your goofy brother? This is Daisy. She's the prettiest, sweetest girl, as long as you don't pick her up. I'm waiting for her to just completely shred me because she's a sweet girl until you try to hold her. It's usually not something she's down for. But she came up to talk to you along with me about generative AI and why I'm always up in arms about it. So I've had a lot of conversations about generative AI with people, and a lot of them, maybe some of you, don't understand why writers and artists are upset about this stuff. AI is invading every aspect of our lives, from the blind spot detectors on our cars to spell check to Google search result. Yeah, look, English is hard sometimes, y'all. Right, Daisy? So what's the problem? The problem lies with unethical use of generative AI. So let's talk about what I and most writers and artists mean when we talk about AI in the admittedly vitriolic and judgmental terms that we use on the regular. The objection most people have isn't to all uses of AI in a creative work. Nobody's butthurt that you use spell check or even Grammarly when you write your book. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't use some form of spell check or something to clean up their language, their grammar. Nobody's upset that you use Photoshop's blend layers function or magic eraser to make your stock art compilation book cover look cleaner. What people get pissed off about is generative AI, the stuff that claims to do the work for you, like Midjourney or ChatGPT. Those are, at least as far as I know, the biggest ones out there. So why are we upset? These big language learning models are trained on real art and they're trained on real books, and they're just using computing power to sift through the best work available to it. So why shouldn't we use that tool? And I know that we're going to get some bad faith arguments in the comments from the AI apologists and the tech bros who are going to be all, well, the technology's here, so you better get used to it. And, you know, if you hate AI so much, why don't you gripe about spell check? So let's go ahead and deal with that. One, I just told you that I don't mind spell check because spell check is not generative AI, and you know that. So if you're making that comment on my video, understand that you're making a bad faith argument, and I know it, and you know it, and everybody reading your comment knows it. So you could save yourself the trouble and just skip the rest of this video and come back later. Maybe I'll say something that doesn't offend you. Or you can just, watch the video and maybe be open to understanding why artists are pissed off about this stuff. And as far as the technology is here, get used to it. Well, Betamax and Laserdisc were here too. So sometimes technology goes the way of the dinosaur. Hopefully, if these generative AI models and companies are forced to actually pay for the work that they're training their systems on, some of them will go the way of the dinosaur too. But there's a lot of reasons why we don't like this stuff. So why do we hate Sit My Precious? Why? First off, writing and art and music are creative endeavors. The whole point is to take something from inside you and turn it into something you can share with other people. Using generative AI isn't doing that. You're not making anything. The computer's making it. You might be polishing it or refining it, but that's no more your creativity than running spell check over your completed book. And if you're getting into the writing business to make a quick buck and you think Chat GPT is the way to do it, I got a bridge to sell you. And frankly, if you buy that bridge, you will make more money as a troll living under it, charging billy goats to get across, than you will make easy money as any kind of artist or author. The point of the thing isn't the end result. It's not the product. It's the process. It's the journey of creation. Yes, you want it to be as good as it could possibly be. That's why your first book probably sucks. Hell, it might be why your first 5 books suck. Because it takes time and effort to learn how to do anything worth doing. Michael Jordan did not come out of the womb as the greatest basketball player of all time. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Okay, not exactly, but he tried out for varsity and didn't make it. Got put on JV because his skills weren't where they needed to be. He needed to go get better. So what did he do? Well, there wasn't and still isn't any computer model that will make you a better free throw shooter or whatever his shortcomings were. So he worked his ass off and he became the greatest player to ever set foot on a basketball court. Sorry, LeBron. Writing and art are the same way. It's hard to write a good book, and it should be. That's why every time one of you posts a comment that you just finished your first draft, I congratulate you because it's hard. 8 out of 10 people who come up to me at a convention and say, I'm working on a book, or I've been thinking about writing a book, 8 out of 10 of them are never going to finish a book. So if you post a comment saying you just finished your first draft, I am legitimately proud of you. And I am thrilled for you because you have worked your butt off to make it happen. And I don't care what flavor of art you're trying to do. Acting, hard. Music, hard. Painting, sculpture, writing, performance art, hard, 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 hard. If you're looking to use generative AI for a shortcut to get rich, boy, you got a real twisted picture of how much writers and artists and actors make. It's just like people who put tons and tons of time into planning the perfect crime. They could have just put that effort into going and getting a job and make more consistent money and do better without the risk of prison. If you're going to put hours and hours and hours into learning how to manipulate generative AI into spitting out a book, and then you're going to spend hours and hours and hours polishing that, you could have just written a book. But that's why I look side-eye at people who claim they're writers when the only thing they've written is a Chat GPT prompt. Because I've busted my ass to learn how to do this work, to learn how to write a compelling story, to learn how to create characters that people resonate with, to hook a reader and make them give a shit what happens in my books. ChatGPT doesn't care if you finish the book. I want those emails that say you were up until 4 in the morning reading and you sucked at your day job because of my book. That's the greatest thing ever. Everything about life as a writer is the journey. It's about getting better with every single book and busting your butt and struggling until you finally hit that breakthrough, and then it's worth it. But that's not why I don't think images and books that use generative AI should be banned from artists and authors' alleys at conventions. And I do think that. There was recently there was this little convention over Labor Day weekend called Dragon Con in Atlanta. And there was a booth in Comic and Pop Artists Alley that was selling generative AI work. And they were removed by the show. Dragon Con has, in, I believe, in all aspects of the convention, a staunch anti-AI, anti-generative AI stance. And most conventions that I'm aware of also have this stance. So when it was discovered that the people in the booth in Comic and Pop Artist Alley were not the people who applied, and the work that they submitted to be reviewed, to be admitted, was not the work that was being sold, and that their work was obviously AI generated, they were removed from the convention. And they were not given a refund for their space. Now, they probably still showed a profit, which means that they literally stole from people all weekend, because that's what you're doing. If you're sitting there in a row of artists and authors and you're slinging your AI generated slop, and yeah, I know, that's insulting. I don't care. You're slinging your AI generated slop and you're passing it off as something you created, then you're a liar and you're a fraud. Because you didn't create that. Your computer created that. And why? How did your computer create that? By stealing my This is the biggest thing for me. It's even bigger than the fact that if you're sitting there selling a book that you spewed out through generative AI, you are no more the author of that book than I am the author of Dandelion by Alex Bledsoe. I was the editor on that book, and I put a lot of work into cleaning that book up. And that's all you're doing. You are at best an editor. At best. You're not the writer. Alex Bledsoe wrote Dandelion, and it's a fantastic horror novel. You should check it out. I had a great time editing it, but I am not the creator of that book. Alex is. And here's the core. Here's why I think that no generative AI work should be allowed in an author or artist's alley. Because you are starting from stolen stuff. During the discovery of the big Anthropic AI lawsuit by a whole bunch of writers, it's a class action lawsuit, they came up with a searchable database. And you could put in your name and you can see if any of your books were used to train Facebook's AI. Would you like to see how many of my books were used to train Facebook's generative AI? One, two. Oh, let's just shortcut the process. That's just a start. And that's just my stuff and just the titles I can remember. There were 185 of my individual books and short stories and novellas scraped to train Facebook's AI. They stole my shit, y'all. And I've made it very clear on this channel that I am an old redneck. So don't come stealing my stuff. I get grumpy. That's why we don't think that AI art or AI generated books should be an artist's alley, because it's stolen. This stuff is stolen. I wasn't paid for any of these books. They sent their little pirate bots out into the internet and stole my stuff. Nobody was paid. These multi-billion-dollar international mega corporations just went online and pirated as many books as they could find, fed them into a grinder to train their system, and now that's what spits out when you type in your prompt. My words, my friends' words. And these CEOs have said under oath that they stole our shit, because if they had to pay for it, they wouldn't be able to get enough content to train their systems in a way that would make their systems profitable. So don't make your systems, you thieving piece of crap. If you have to commit a crime, and pirating copyrighted books is 100% illegal to create your system, then you shouldn't create the system. So no, I don't want to see AI books in Artist Alley, because they were created off the back of my work without me receiving a single bit of compensation or credit. And I don't want to see generative AI images in an Artist Alley, because that was created with my friends' work without any compensation to them. It's fruit of the poisonous tree, which is a legal term whereby any evidence gained through illegal means is inadmissible. For example, if a cop wandering by your car just decides to jiggle the handle and the passenger door comes open, then that cop looks under your seat and finds a giant bag of cocaine, that's inadmissible, unless he somehow had probable cause to open your car. Otherwise, it's an illegal search and inadmissible cocaine. This stuff, this Chat GPT and Midjourney stuff, it's inadmissible cocaine. If you type a prompt into Midjourney to create a 90s era teenage boy with yellow skin, and it spits out the picture of Bart Simpson, you haven't created an image of Bart Simpson. You haven't created anything. You are just the beneficiary of Midjourney stealing a bunch of images of Bart Simpson and then crapping one out for you. You don't get a spot in Artist Alley because you aren't the author. At best, you're the editor. At best. So we don't want AI-generated books and images in our author or artist alleys, because I don't want to sit next to somebody who's trying to take shortcuts. I've spent years learning how to do this. I've spent years trying to teach other people how to do this. So yeah, I do hate generative AI, at least in the form in which it exists today. And I do look down my nose at the so-called writers and artists who use it, because I'm a judgmental old fart. But you didn't click on this video to hear me say it was all great, did you? Because I'm pretty sure that the headline and thumbnail were me looking down my judgmental nose and saying something about why I hate generative AI. This career, writing, it's hard. It's incredibly difficult, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And it's rewarding because it's difficult. The fact that it's really damn hard to write a good book is what makes it so amazing when someone comes up and asks you to sign a book that you wrote. So don't shortchange yourself by trying to shortcut the process. Put in the work and reap the rewards. Just do the work. It's hard, yeah, but anything worth doing is hard. So that is why I hate generative AI in its current form. Maybe in a few years they'll come out with something that isn't built on the backs of stolen stuff. And hey, maybe I will think differently. Don't hold your breath on that because I'm still going to think that you probably need to write the book for me to think you're a writer. Just putting that out there. But till next time, y'all, take care of yourself and go write something, okay?